Mayor Cassetti?
Present.
From the town of Beacon Falls on the line, First Selectman Smith.
Here.
Also on the line from the town of Bethlehem, First Selectman Sorting.
Here.
In the room, we have from the city of Bristol, Mayor Caggiano.
Yep.
From the town of Cheshire, I believe we have Andrew Martelli online.
Here.
Thank you, Andrew. From the city of Derby, Mayor Zekin is in the room.
Sure.
From the town of Middlebury, First Selectman St. John is with us. Thank you. From the borough of Naugatuck, Mayor Hess.
Present.
In the room. Thank you, sir. From the town of Oxford, First Selectman Temple. Here. Is here. Thank you. Is Mayor Kilduff from Plymouth on the line? Mayor Kilduff? Yeah. From the town of Prospect, Mayor Chatfield.
Here, you guys got donuts down there?
Good.
Come and get one. We'll send one up to you.
From the town of Seymour, First Selectwoman Dragonis on the line. Okay. From the city of Shelton, Mayor Loretti.
He's here somewhere.
You get, it's the rules, you have to speak up.
Okay.
He's been so shy about speaking it up.
Right, yeah.
Knock it off, Ed. I want you to stay calm today too, all right? No speeches, no speeches today.
From the town of Southbury, are we joined by First Selectman Manville?
Yes, I am.
Okay, from the town of Thomaston, First Selectman Moan. Present. Like that, thank you. From the city of Waterbury, Mayor O'Leary. Thank you, sir. I do not believe we're joined by anyone from Watertown today. Anyone from Watertown? Okay. From the town of Wolcott, Mayor Dunn.
Here.
Is here in the room, and from the town of Woodbury, First Selectwoman Perkinson.
Here.
On the line, thank you very much. You have a quorum of both bodies present today, Mr. Chairman. And before we get going, I'd just like to introduce you. We're joined today by three members of the Connecticut Department of Transportation. I think you all know Pam Zaccato from Policy and Planning. Pam, with us. Yeah, Pam's down in the corner.
Hi, Pam.
And I want to introduce to you Jane Dunbar, who is our new field, training to be our new field coordinator. Jane, want to stand up, say hi?
Hi, good morning.
Jane will be attending our meetings, and Kevin Tedesco, who's her immediate supervisor, I believe, I have that correctly?
Is what?
Kevin's her immediate supervisor.
Absolutely, yeah.
Kevin is on the line.
Okay.
Today.
Welcome. Pam, always
Morning,
a
everybody.
pleasure.
Morning,
I
Kevin.
think you forgot somebody.
Who did I forget, Mayor?
I see a young lady here from DEP, I believe.
Yes, we're gonna introduce her. She's the first speaker this
But-
morning.
Okay.
All right.
So, nice rainy day cranky. Love it. Another rainy weekend. All right, let the sun shine in this room from this point moving forward. So we have Kim Czapla, Supervising Environmental Analyst from Aquifer Protection Area Program. Kim, would you like to take the floor over?
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm here today to talk about aquifer protection, and with me is one of my staff members, Melissa Fonstock. She is also in the Zoom room today. I have a team of two Melissas that are new to the program, new to DEEP, and they are going to be helping with municipal outreach. So welcome to Melissa as well. So my name's Kim Czapla, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be, shall I tell you when to do the slides? Or will I have control of the slides?
We have control, so just say next slide.
Okay,
Say next slide,
so let-
Kim, and we'll be good.
next slide, please. Okay, so I'm going to cover in the next 15 minutes, we're going to talk about what is an aquifer, the state's Aquifer Protection Area Program, where the Naugatuck+Valley COG implementation status stands currently, moving forward and next steps, and then some training opportunities and technical assistance, and we'll wrap up with some content information. Next slide. So what is an aquifer? An aquifer is any geologic formation made of rock or sediment that can yield a usable amount of water. And I think if you click one time, it should bring up some additional information. It's found in bedrock, stratified drift, and one more time, please, and glacial till. Next slide, please. So aquifers in Connecticut are very important and they're very vulnerable to pollution threats. In Connecticut, our aquifers, our groundwater aquifers, are a significant source of existing public drinking water, and they are our primary source of future public drinking water. These are very vulnerable to land use threats that could potentially contaminate the drinking water source below. They're shallow, unconfined, and highly porous. And these pollution threats come from certain land use activities, which I can talk about in the next slide, please. So this is a cutaway of an aquifer protection area, which is in Connecticut. Aquifer protection areas are wellhead protection areas. They protect large drinking water wellheads from land use activities above. If you click the next click, please. Pollution threats include industrial operations and gas stations. You can keep clicking, please. Auto repair facilities, vehicle service stations, underground storage tanks, and chemical storage. Next slide, please. So the Aquifer Protection Area Program in Connecticut its purpose is to identify the major existing public water supply aquifers and to protect them by managing specific land use activities that are in this area. And it only makes up about 2 to 3% of the land area in Connecticut. Next slide, please. Back in 2000, in the early 2000s, we were tasked with coming up with regulations, land use regulations, and we put them in place. They became effective in 2004. And this established the timeline whereby aquifer protection areas were established around major public water supply wells that are focused in sand and gravel aquifers. The regulations, they required the local municipalities to adopt wells and implement the program by appointing a municipal aquifer protection agency, which was an existing land use body, whether it was the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Conservation Commission, or another Inland Wetlands Commission, to oversee the protection of these large drinking water wellheads, aquifer protection areas. And within the areas, again, it requires certain existing activities which involve the use of hazardous materials. And these businesses that handle hazardous materials must follow best management practices that are designed to minimize the possibility of polluting the aquifer. Next slide, please. So who's involved in the Aquifer Protection Area Program? Water companies who own the drinking water wells, conduct mapping, and provide technical assistance to municipalities. The municipalities are required to designate an aquifer protection agency, adopt the aquifer protection area boundary, and adopt regulations. And within these regulated areas, they are to register and permit regulated activities, ensure compliance with best management practices, conduct site inspections, and if necessary, follow progressive enforcement. At the state level, Connecticut Deep administers the Aquifer Protection Area Program statewide. We provide technical assistance, guidance, and training to municipalities, and we register and permit major facilities and state facilities that conduct regulated activities. And we ensure compliance with best management practices, conduct site inspections, and do enforcement. Next slide, please. So what is an aquifer protection area? It's the critical portion of the aquifer which provides water to the well. It's the area of contribution and recharge to the wellhead. Aquifers protected under this program must meet 3 criteria. They must be in stratified drift. They must contain a well used by an existing public water system, and they must serve a population of 1,000 or more. Next slide, please. This is a map that's on our website, and it shows the areas in red are adopted level A aquifer protection areas. The red areas that are solid are areas in the state that have, the municipalities have adopted regulations, they've adopted maps, and they've begun registering facilities within these areas. There are a few areas, one in Bristol that has still at a level B, a preliminary aquifer protection area. So it has not yet been mapped to level A standards. So again, the water companies conduct the mapping, DEEP approves the mapping, and the municipalities adopt the map and protect the area. Next slide, please. And if you click 2 more times, it'll display some additional information. 1 more time, 3 times. Thank you. So this is an example of a delineated aquifer protection area in Cheshire. It shows the level A final adopted boundary in red. It shows the wells in blue, and it shows the potential regulated activities with the pink dots. The way the program is, if the parcel is inside the aquifer protection area and is conducting a regulated activity, it is required to register to continue operating. If it falls outside or is on the other side of the APA boundary, it is not regulated. So basically, this line is drawn in the sand and gravel. If you're in, you're in. If you're out, you're out. Next slide, please. This is an image of the Naugatuck+Valley COG towns and the aquifer protection areas in it. So you can see that it's a small areas within the towns, except for Cheshire. These areas are typically highly commercial or industrial. However, in some locations, they are quite residential or undeveloped land. Next slide, please. So I'd like to just say that in the beginning, Naugatuck+Valley COG towns were really impressive. They were leaders in groundwater protection before any state mandates were put in the books. So before 2000, we had towns in this region that were using their zoning authority and protecting their groundwater aquifers by not allowing certain gas stations and auto repair facilities and other types of high-risk land uses in these areas. These local zoning laws were enacted and enforced to protect the groundwater. And they were the first in the state to adopt the new Aquifer Protection Area Program back in 2004. So again, leaders in the state. We even had mentors that were helping other municipalities in other regions of Connecticut. And one of your towns received a Deep Green Circle Award for their leadership and mentor abilities. So This was the beginning. Next step, please. Next slide. Where are we today in the COG? So 15 towns in the region have aquifer protection areas. However, 12 towns, according to our state records, are not in compliance. Now, this is understandable. Over the last 5 years, there has been a lot of staffing changes. We've gone through a pandemic. We have gone through administrative changes, and that's understandable. And we understand that. So compliance varies. Some of the towns have been slow to either issue local registrations to these facilities or renew them. In addition, the state regulations were revised in 2010, and some towns have not yet come to adopt the 2010 version. So that's another compliance step that needs to be addressed. And then we have, there are also some towns that have not adopted the Aquifer Protection Area regulation and map. Next slide, please. So the benefits outweigh the cost in complying with aquifer protection. Protecting aquifers reduces the risk of contamination. It's really cost effective. Remediation is costly and time consuming. And municipal compliance protects the towns from potential lawsuits. So we're here to help you come into compliance. Next slide, please. So what would you rather drink? Polluted water or clean, fresh, protected water? Next slide, please. I'd rather drink clean water. So what are the next steps for implementing the Aquifer Protection Area Program in the COG? Next step, next slide, please. So our key goal is municipal compliance. We at DEEP want you to be compliant, and we want you to keep moving towards it. We are really excited to be working with the COG and developing a partnership, and we will be launching a brand new APA program series in January. It's going to be held virtually. Potentially, we may have some on-site visits. We are going to have office hours. So an hour scheduled each month where members of the COG staff and municipal officials can come and talk to DEEP staff about certain topics. And we're working very closely with COGS, the Naugatuck+Valley COG staff, to come up with a really nice blend of different topics each month for the next 6 months. So I encourage you to encourage your staff to participate. We can also provide status updates and recommend a compliance work plan for your towns. You could expect that we'll be reaching out to your towns in the upcoming months. We're here to help you come into compliance. This is our way of helping you catch up after being all the things that we've gone through over the last 5 years, 3 to 5 years. So this is a chance that will bring you back into compliance. One other thing I'd like to mention, next year, 2024, is the anniversary of the 50th anniversary of the Safe Drinking Water Act. It is the 20th anniversary of the state land use regulations, the Aquifer Protection regulations. We're going to be holding a lot of media events and webinars and doing public outreach. I would like to see the Naugatuck+Valley COG be one of our leaders. I'd like to focus and feature and show the rest of the state and New England, because we do partner with other New England states, that the Naugatuck+Valley COG are leaders. They began as leaders, and I want to showcase that they're still leaders in groundwater protection. Next slide, please. So we have developed an online technical training program just for municipal officials to meet the the regulatory mandate, I guess, that says that at least one member of the municipal agency, the Aquifer Protection Agency, must take training and be certified. So we've developed this course. It's housed at UConn. It's free, and we encourage you to take the course. It has 8 modules, and it's the first ADA compliant course that we produced. You can watch it on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer, and we encourage you and your staff to take the training. Next slide, please. We've also developed Connecticut's Aquifer Protection Area Program Municipal Manual. This is a step-by-step technical guidebook that is available on our website, and it helps you follow the steps to come into compliance. It answers lots of questions, and it's a resource for you, and it's available on our website. Next slide, please. This is our website address and our email address. Next slide, please. And this is our program contact information. I'm Kim Czapla, I'm the supervisor, and my team of Melissa Mostaway is not available today, but Melissa Fonstock is on our Zoom call today. And so please feel free to reach out to all of us. We will be reaching out to you. Next slide, please. And that's the end of my presentation. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Kim. Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions? So we're grateful for the presentation. We'll talk a little bit more about it and try if we, see if we can't get everybody moving toward compliance, okay?
That would be fantastic.
Molly will be talking about the issue under the environmental planning section later. Sure.
Okay.
Through the chair, just make a quick comment. You don't want to learn about this in the way that Bristol has learned about this, is all I'll say, because we're currently ongoing a problem that has happened. And by the way, I believe we're compliant on APA. I was actually on the zoning board when we started implementing it, but we had a new business come in, and there's some issues that are going to cost the city some money. So I will highly recommend that you make sure that your staffs are trained on this. That's the best plug I can give you right now, Kim.
Thank you. Yes, sometimes there are administrative oversights that happen, and we're here to help you, all of you, to help you try to stay on track so that doesn't happen again. But thank you very much for having us. Please reach out, and I look forward to working with the Naugatuck+Valley COG in the future. Very soon, we're going to be rolling out this nice APA series. So I hope to see all of you or your staff members participate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Thank you. Okay. Oh, we forgot about public comment. Anyone here from the public who wishes to address the board?
Did we forget the pledge?
Did that offline.
Anyone here from the public?
We received no requests online.
Okay. Moving on. Let's go to item agenda 2, CNVMPO meeting. Adoption of the resolution 2024-01 TIP amendments. Kevin Ellis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. So we have 2 TIP amendments to be approved today. The first one is for a replacement of traffic control signals within District 4. These projects have several locations in Middlebury and Southbury, which you can see in your packet. There's a total of 6 of them. And then the next project is for the state project at Route 63, 64, and I-84 interchange 17 exit. This project is being moved from this TIP to the next one. There's a permit issue that caused a delay. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Questions?
Prospect will move the first one.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
All right. I'll do the same for the second one.
Okay.
There was one
resolution. There was one resolution. Okay, we're good, Mayor Chatfield. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Item agenda 2, adoption of the resolution 2024-02.
Yes,
Endorsement. Richard Donovan.
thank you, Mr. Chair. Every year, under the Highway Safety Improvement Program, the state and MPOs are required to adopt safety performance targets, as well as a series of other performance targets. And so you'll see on the screen here, as well as in the memo that was attached in the packets, the safety performance targets for 2024 do remain the same as those for 2023. As you know, as you may know from the news and from watching in your own towns, we did not meet our targets for the 5-year rolling period that ended in 2021. It does not look like we will have met the targets for the period ending in 2022. And so the department has continued to take an aggressive stance in maintaining these safety targets, despite you know, having missed them for several years. And so I do want to briefly talk about the difference though between goals and targets here. You know, as you all remember, back in September, we adopted a Vision Zero goal for our region, with the intent being to eliminate fatalities and serious injuries here in our region. That is still the goal. That is still what we're working towards. It's what the department is working towards. It's what all of your towns are working towards. However, the targets themselves are actually less goal oriented and more based on historical data. So the traditional means of setting these targets was to look at the 5-year average and set targets that just about complied with that. The department did in 2021 change that stance a bit and decide to set a more aggressive or decide on a more aggressive target setting methodology. But the targets can't just be set to 0. They do have to be realistic based on past performance. And so that's where these numbers come from. We all, of course, would much rather see, you know, not only surpassing these targets, but having that achieve that Vision Zero goal of no fatalities or injuries. But while we work towards that, we continue to set targets that are a bit more realistic based on actual world performance. And so the one other item here, these are targets that were set and adopted by CONDOT for statewide performance. We as an MPO do have the ability to set our own targets if we choose to. However, because of the you know, close proximity here and the shared boundaries of our MPOs, as well as CONDOT's oversight of federal safety funding, we chose again this year to endorse the CONDOT targets rather than set our own. Doing so this year does not preclude us from setting our own targets in the future, and that is certainly something we can consider.
Yeah, comments, questions, motion.
Move resolution 2024-02.
Second. Discussion.
Aye.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstain. Okay. Item agenda number 3 is you again, Rich, launch of Econ. Wow, Econ Interactive Project Tracker.
It drives me nuts as well that there's not spaces in these words, but
Actor.
it is the actual name of this product. And so, yes, well, so you may remember back in June, this board authorized Rick to sign a contract with Eco Interactive for us to begin rollout of the Project Tracker suite. And I'm excited to say that as of Wednesday morning, this is live with both our TIP and WATSIP project listings. You can access it at nvcog.ecointeractive.com. We'll send this out to everybody as well. But I do want to just briefly show off. This is something we've been talking about for a long time. And let me just see here if I'm sharing the right screen. There we go. Let's try that. So what it does do is,
You're not sharing.
yes, I realize it's going to force me to leave the meeting and then come back. What it does do is gives us a much more public facing format within which we can share our share TIP and lots of projects. It is an interactive platform. And so right here on this public facing site, the public can leave comments, they can ask questions, as well as see all of the information associated with each of these projects. It gives us a much broader ability to share information beyond just, you know, the project and its financials, which is what we currently show on the NVCOG website.
It also has
But,
a map-based interface,
It does, yes.
so.
And so, all right, here we go. Hopefully this is gonna work out. We try it one more time right here. I have to agree that the meeting is being live streamed.
So as Rich said, we can get to this from our website, and you'll be able to, and eventually there'll be a link on each of your town pages on our website.
All right, here we go.
Good.
So just, yes, to show it off briefly, this is what happens when you first get to that page. There's still quite a bit of updates we can do on this, and, you know, we'll certainly work on making this a bit more visually attractive. But for the moment, it describes what it is that is being seen here. While we do maintain information about the projects in the GVB-MPO area, MetroCog, as well as a total of 6 of the MPOs across Connecticut, have similarly adopted this platform for the tip. And so the GVB-MPO towns will be directed to the MetroCog website to see the most current information on their projects. But this page here will show tip projects for the 15 CNVMPO towns, as well as for all 19 NVCOG towns for lots of. And so up across the top here, if you go to projects, you'll see I mess around with the Wakely Avenue project just a little bit to show you what's possible here. We do have quite a bit of update to information that needs to happen in here. You know, you'll see project description as well as project status currently are blank, but we'll be filling those in with a much more descriptive version of what these projects look like, so that the, you know, a description meant for the general public, not just for our own internal tracking. It'll show a location on the project. It shows the full source of financials. And so on lots of projects, of course, this is going to be mostly state money with local design, but on tip projects, it'll show the breakdown between federal funding sources as well as state money and any local money that's involved. It will show you the full history. And so if you look at fund history, it'll show you not only the current adoption of this, but any updates as the tip projects are amended. And it will show you revision history, which is the kind of the timeline by which the projects are updated for status, for location, any scope changes. And so all of that is easily available to the public. And again, they can provide comments directly here on the webpage for it, for both lots of and tip projects. Once it is finished, if you go up here to this interactive map feature, you'll see all of the projects in the region will be mapped here. You'll be able to search by town. You'll be able to search by project type, as well as you'll be able to select individual projects based on their location on the map. So it'll be a much easier way for the average person to go and find projects that impact them directly. So we're very excited to have this live. We will be updating information and doing a pretty aggressive campaign around this. You know, we'll be putting out press releases. We'll be sharing to our website and through social media. We would love it if you would all do the same and help publicize this. But we look forward to this being a much better way to track the projects that we are all working on, both through the tip and through lots of.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Good job. Good work. Anyone have any comments or questions?
No, good job, yeah.
All right. Thanks, Rich. Item agenda 3, minutes for approval. Motion, sir.
So move Chatfield.
All right, second, Lee. All righty, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Motion passed. Financial report.
Thank you, Mr.
Michael.
Chairman. Thank you,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman. So this is the financial report for the period ending 9/30/2023. It did go out in an email to you guys on Wednesday. So bottom line is we're 25% through the year, 3 months, and we do have a net position of just over $190,000. We haven't gotten any unexpected funding cuts. We did, though, however, receive 2 DECD grants throughout the year, so that's it's going to impact us in a way to just kind of change how some of the funds are spent, particularly in the brownfields program. But you know, more money in for us. We did receive 100% of the RSG funds, which is $827, which usually it's spread out in 4 payments through the year, but we got the bulk in September. And then the collection of municipal dues and brownfields dues in July does inflate the net position a bit, but it does work towards diminishing it down to being a balanced budget as the year progresses. And then just a note, there are some temporary increases in bank fees, but that's as we transition to a new bank. Very, very minimal, though. I'm talking like maybe netting $20 for the year or something like that.
I was gonna say that.
But I didn't budget anything for it, so I wanted to bring it to your attention. Other than that, though, there haven't been any unexpected expenses, and everything's been going pretty smoothly. Happy to take any questions now.
Any questions, folks? Motion to accept the.
Move to accept Prospect.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, please. Second, somebody?
I thought that was Bob or me.
Okay, second is, Ed Bone, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Thank
I'd like to make a motion that we take some of that surplus and go to the monthly dinner at the Ponte Club.
Oh. All right.
That would be a real treat, you know.
Well,
We used to do that back in the old days. Every meeting was in a different town and a restaurant.
Well, I'm glad I brought that up. We'll have to pursue that, I think.
It is a cost-effective dinner option.
Very cost effective.
Bob, you remember when you used to brown bag it, bring your own lunch?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
I was in the 70s.
They had brown bags back then?
Candy. All right, director's report. Item agenda 5, Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I usually say, I will try and make this quick. There are a few things that are not on here that I wanted to talk about. First, the executive board met and had a discussion about situation with the landlord. So I just want to give a quick update that I can give in public session. So we are, based on my discussions with our attorney, we have paid up our rent. We're not withholding any rent at this point. We will, as we continue discussions about landlord performance through hopefully not too much longer. We have options in our lease to reduce and withhold rent, and we'll be taking advantage of those options to try and enforce our rights and get some performance. But big picture, HVAC is not up to snuff. As most of you know, our air conditioning was cut off in part of the building in August. We have no parking, as I'm sure you all experienced today. We have, there's no one providing access to our spaces that were guaranteed under the lease. There are numerous other leaks, and one of our new employees has a nice leak through the electrical fixture over her desk. Yeah, we've got all kinds of issues. But I just want to let you know that we'll be dealing with those as we go forward. If anyone had any questions that I can answer in public, I'm happy to know about this. Okay.
Better days ahead.
So with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'll move on to item 1 is a nominating committee. So I just want to go through the schedule for all of you following, according to our bylaws, following the odd year municipal election, we hold the election for officers of the NVCOG. So the way the schedule works is in November, which will be after the November elections, and we'll know who's in office at that point, and if there are any changes. Nominating committee will be appointed by the members sitting at the November meeting. So if there's any question, it's your town's rules about when you change office. If you don't change office until December, you're sitting for when the council votes on appointing the nominating committee in November. And if you change office before then the new person will. But the nominating committee consists of 3 people, according to the bylaws, under Article 5. Section 2 of Article 5. So nominating committee of 3 representatives appointed by the council to recommend the slate of officers and the at-large representative members of the executive committee. So in November, the nominating committee gets appointed. In December, at that committee's leisure of those 3 people, they will meet to nominate a slate. And at the January meeting of this body, will, according to the bylaws, need to notice all of you 7 days prior as to the nominees. And then it'll be on the agenda, and then you'll vote at the January meeting, for the election of officers, January 2024. So that's that item. Any questions I can answer with regard to that process? Okay. I'm
Go ahead.
Okay, so we do need, two actions under my, report, which are unusual, but, we have attachment number 6 and number 7. By the way, you'll notice in your agendas now, each attachment is numbered at the top, of the beginning of the attachment page, a little stamp that's in there. Now it should make it easier to follow them. So attachment number 6 is the 2024 schedule of meetings. And then attachment number 7 is the 2024 NVCOG holiday schedule. You received those in your original packets. And I would ask that you, the body adopt the 2024 meeting schedule, attachment 6.
Separate motions.
So move, Chatfield.
move.
Everybody, you got everybody.
All right. We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye for the
Aye.
schedule of the meeting.
Aye.
Okay, we need a motion now for the holiday schedule. Motion,
Aye. Second.
discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Okay. Item agenda 3, November 17th, speaker update, a conversation with Deep Commissioner Katie Dykes.
So as, Mr. Chairman, as you recall, last month's meeting, this body had requested that we arrange for Commissioner Dykes to, attend, what turns out to be the November meeting, to discuss municipal solid waste and recycling issues. So she will be here, with, Joe. I think it's Dina Cole, and her deputy chief of staff, Harrison Nance, and they'll be here to have a discussion about logistics coordination and other items, involved with municipal solid waste, waste diversion, recycling, the other items that you guys mentioned last month. So it'll be at the November 17th regular meeting, and it'll be the beginning of the meeting. We're working hard to limit the rest of the agenda for that meeting, so that you can have plenty of
I
time.
think, look, in order to have a really robust conversation, we can't be in a hurry. And that, by them coming here in person is a really positive, I mean, respectfully. I don't know about you guys, I mean, I'm really getting tired of this Zoom crap. Now, I'm not talking about our members attending meetings, I'm talking about presentations. They're much more effective in person than they are through this thing. Just me. I get to say this now because I only have a few more weeks left. Having said that, I think you give. I'm very interested myself in this, and I know that this is a subject matter that impacts every single municipality here, large and small. So I think we should give her plenty of time. And I'd like to hear all about different things, I think we should anticipate a robust discussion, so. I would really move the rest of the meeting.
Yeah.
For the following meeting, with the exception of things that are just critically important to vote on.
Yeah, I was just gonna recommend that if we could say that, anything that's dire to be voted on, we put it on there, but anything else. Let's decide,
Yeah,
actually might be zooming in.
yeah, and I'm gonna be asking some people who I deal with in this area to listen in. I just wanna make sure all of our IT is up to snuff that day, like it always is, don't misunderstand me, but this is, I think this is probably a critical meeting because we're gonna go into the session in January, and this is going to be a very well vetted session on municipal solid waste, so, okay? And I would tell Katie what we're doing,
Yeah.
so she knows, and maybe she'll bring others, and maybe she'll at least give her the heads up that, this is something that we need to learn a lot about. For those of you, Tommy Dunn was telling me that Matt Knickerbocker, who's the first selectman of Bethel, is a really strong proponent of EPR, and I don't know, there's so many different, we're talking about EPR, and then we move into organic food waste, then we move into recycling, and we remove it. There's just a lot to talk about. And, for a city the size of Waterbury, you know, a lot of this stuff is got significant dollars attached to it, so. And all of it is in the form of unfunded, so I just really, I mean, and I know that there are a city the size of Bethlehem or in Middlebury or smaller communities, it's a whole different thing, and that, you know, it's just, it's really, you know, I really. would
We're
like
not
it.
getting the participation we should be getting in this food waste program either. So it doesn't- I don't know, we're dealing in interesting times.
I know, and I feel like, and I really do say this very respectfully, I feel like. Some of the things that were proposed in the last session, Connecticut wants to be the first out of the gate, you know, and that's fine if it's appeals to. Municipalities across the board, but I like also kind of an old fashioned old school person, like to see what the. Strengths and weaknesses are of a program before we dive in head first, unless, of course, it's all on, if it's funded, that's a whole different story. But you have different cities with different cultures and different mindsets and different populations and different demographics, and it's just, it's hard. And I'm trying to be a blocker here. I'm really actually looking forward to it. I might actually invite Tommy. I think we should invite Matt to that meeting.
Yeah.
Knickerbocker. I asked him to come down and give you.
He's the one that actually turned that around to get that tire from past.
And the tire-
A lot of people thought it was crazy, but.
Great, you know, great.
The mattress, Matt, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's studied it, and I mean, he's got tons of information.
Yeah.
He's a strong.
Solid facts. Yes. Now, he's, listen, him and I had, you know, on some different, and the other things, but. When he was right on this, and it was huge, because the tires is a big thing. People, a lot of people in this room probably don't know how much you're spending. On getting rid of tires at your, you know.
We just had something dirty, so
Yeah.
everybody wants to. That building we're demoing now had 100,000 tires.
Yeah, imagine.
About 300,000 to get them out of there.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Managers would caught fire. So we put the fire out. So there's, I mean, and by the way, look at it. And one of the things that this COG has been really good at is that there's differences of opinions. We learn more. So let's learn. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I first of all, I want to thank Trish Berger for making the arrangements with the commissioner staff to get her here for that month. She's also working on limiting the agenda. Question I have for the board is, do you want to do the agenda items that we have to get out of the way first? Or do you want to do the commissioner first?
Let's do her first, because they have scheduled stuff.
Okay.
Let's do her first and be cognizant of her time and her staff time.
Good.
Just make sure there's nothing else that you have to do.
No, I mean, we're gonna have type amendments for the MPO portion of the meeting, but the MPO portion usually goes relatively
We
quickly.
can blow those out later, Tommy. That's on the 17th, right?
17.
And that's a Friday.
I know, I might be zooming in myself, but that's okay, zooming in is just as important.
But I'm not presenting.
Yeah, but Pete, as long as they're not zooming out.
I could change my trip, but I don't think that.
No, it's
I'm
we
supposed
take
to go to North Carolina. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm changing the trip because, and I'm telling you, because I think it's that important. At least it is for me moving forward. All right,
All right, and with that, is there any other questions from the board for me? I don't know if I report.
well, Jesus, Rick, that was pretty brief.
All right.
You're moving in a positive direction since we gave you that raise.
That's right.
I love to laugh at myself. All right. I scratched it out, so I can't even tell what number we're on. Legislative and emergency management updates, Drew and John Field.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be even more brief than Rick. So first, a quick housekeeping item. In 2016, my predecessor, John DeCarlo, worked with TTAC Group to publish the list of public works shared equipment on the website. Unfortunately, in working with TTAC, we've realized that there's been some challenges managing that list. Number one, it's out of date. The logins are not accurate. Some of the staff listings are not accurate. So what I'm looking for today is a blessing from the board to take that off the website, because again, what we're finding is people are cooperating amongst themselves to share equipment, or a request comes to us and we marry the appropriate partners, but the list itself and the maintenance thereof is just not been great. So we want to knock that off the website, if that's okay.
That sounds good.
Question. Are you talking about the booklet that came out this last year for the cooperation between all municipalities in the Region 5?
No, this is just an NVCOG specific shared public works equipment database that just really
Okay.
hasn't been updated
All right.
and maintained. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So we'll take that link off, and that's all I had for that. Next, the Connecticut Opioid Settlement Advisory Committee, the OSAC, of which Mayor O'Leary is co-chair, has opened an online portal where anyone can submit funding recommendations to that committee. The goal is to gather ideas that can be used to help those most impacted by the opioid crisis. This portal will only be open until November 17th. We got a month. It's from October 17th to November 17th. And I encourage you to get on there and share that with your constituents. Anybody can go on there and give some good ideas to Mayor O'Leary's committee there for moving forward. On Tuesday, October 17th, Mayor Caggiano and his team hosted the governor, DECD, and Chief Marketing Officer Anthony at the Bristol Bazaar, where they unveiled the state's new rebranding campaign and marketing plan, strategy, and logo, which you see on the screen here. Focusing on manufacturing, culture, pizza, Yukon hoops. The really, I guess the cool thing about this, and I know DECD and the state is pretty excited. You can customize that C with what really that's supposed to be like a hammer going in, showing that we're leaders in manufacturing. However you like, and there's instructions for how to do that on the state website, and you can kind of utilize that for your own towns and add your crest or whatever you want to do. So if you're interested in that and more information on that, I'm happy to help you get that rolling or connect with the appropriate staff to do that. And then finally, yesterday, Savannah Nicole and I attended COSTS, the Connecticut Council of Small Towns. For those of you who are a part of it, we attended their legislative wrap up at Aquifer. And there were some useful presentations, mostly from Deep, one about PFAS, another about MS4 compliance, another one about climate change, and then we went through some of the new housing and land use legislation. As always, we're available to discuss and assist your staff with navigating some of those complex issues. Earlier in the meeting, or before the meeting, First Selectman St. John asked for information regarding PFAS that's relevant and for probably a lot of you, and that is if you still have PFAS fire foam 5-gallon jugs in your fire departments, Deep is collecting those. So if you're interested in you want to get those out of your location as soon as you can. So I'm happy to share that information with anybody as to what that looks like. They're also coming on site and assisting you with cleaning tanks and things that previously held PFAS diluted solutions, and recommending that you go to this new green alternative. So that is pretty much all we got from that yesterday. If anybody has any questions about those or anything else, we're happy to answer them.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
Mayor O'Leary, will you still be active on that committee after you retire from your present position?
Well, I don't have the answer to that, Bob. I was informed just yesterday that the language may include a current serving elected official. So I may not be. So the governor's staff is researching it, and I will let you all know. If I was asked to stay, I would.
Can you
But
stay?
I will not be able to. So then, of course, it'll be the governor's appointment as to who comes in next. Of course, I'd love to see somebody from NVCOG on it, but I don't know where it stands. The commissioner thought that I was able to stay, and then someone on her staff said that she asked them to research it, and they said that that may not be the case. So I'll let y'all know as soon as I know. Okay. But I would say, that, there's a lot of money. And, I know that they're very open to the regional idea of towns and cities working together instead of everybody having their own little fiefdom. The only thing I would strongly suggest to all of you, as far as the fiefdom comment, is that you need to develop curriculum in your public school system to educate your parents and your students about opioids, and I know that everybody might look at me and say, geez, everybody knows all about opioids. We really don't, because it changes every day. You know, this fentanyl now is just absolutely on the street, killing people everywhere. And, you know, these little kids need to understand. I mean, age appropriate. But regardless, I would ask your Board of Eds to start working with others and putting it together a curriculum that's got to be like the DARE program on steroids if you want to really have an impact. So that's my own personal opinion. And then, you know, but I think that if you reach the little ones, and it usually makes an impact going down the food chain. So let's see where it goes. I'll let you know as soon as I know. I need to know soon because I really only have about 40 days left. So, you know, we'll see where it goes. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just one thing I just wanted to mention about the opioid, sharing between municipalities and working cooperatively regionally. So we actually have two regions that are working separately on this. So, BH Care is leading an effort in the Lower Valley. There was a meeting yesterday in Derby, at the Payne Fieldhouse. So I think that potentially Ansonia, Derby, Seymour, Shelton, are going to be working with the Milford to New Haven, region as well. But it's up to you individually. The towns receive money individually. It's your choice what you choose to do. I just want to make everyone aware that there is another effort in that part of it.
That's, look, if there's nothing wrong with that, you know, that would be a good idea. Take the valley, go that way. And everybody else come this way. That's okay. I mean, and then you can see which one's working better, right? There's nothing wrong with that idea. I think it's a good idea, actually. You know, and then see what the other folks are doing. But, you know, really, it's the same stuff, right? Awareness, remove the stigma, education. I mean, you know, and then, you know, you gotta get this Narcan out there. You know, I mean, really, anybody who's got an opioid abuser in their house, there should be Narcan in the house. And listen, I've heard it all. People say, well, you know, if they choose to ingest it, that's their problem. You know, it's not my problem. It's not our problem. They should have never started taking drugs. And now it is what it is. I mean, that's really, I've heard that more than I want to even think about, but the reality is I have done all the research you could possibly do on this. I know of so many people whose families have been devastated by this. And the truth is, this didn't start for a lot of these people by, you know, misbehaving. This started with the doctors overprescribing these drugs, whether it's a wisdom tooth extraction, whether it's a surgery, whether it's broken bones, whether it's whatever it is. And these people can't get off this stuff. They try and they try and they try and they just can't do it. From the smallest communities in this country to the largest, it's a nightmare. And anybody who thinks otherwise is just being closed-minded, because there's a lot of people, and whether or not they ingested the drug, you know, on a recreation, experimental, or the medical overprescribing. The reason why the opioid settlement is growing expeditiously is because we have sued the pharmacies, and the pharmacies are paying huge numbers because the pharmacies were in connection with the overprescribing doctors. And, you know, and they're not going to court. They're pleading, they're taking the settlements because they don't want to go to court because it's that bad. It's glaring. You know, when you're giving somebody 100 Percocets a week, that's a problem. So, you know, all this litigation is just going into a different direction, but, you know, it doesn't, for me, what matters for me is none of that matters to me, except for the fact that there's a lot of money that could be utilized in a much more productive way than the tobacco settlement or anything like it, because you can actually make a difference in your community if you really want to on this issue. I really believe it. And George, you've had the issue in Oxford and we know, and go ahead, sir.
But I think that we have, that COVID gave us a step back on awareness, on issues as stigma attached to this. Because that became on everybody's front burner. And we never kind of got back to the momentum that I felt that we were getting. We've had a couple of deaths since COVID as a result of this, and during the COVID crisis, I always tried to remind the people in my town that we have two epidemics, and they're both pretty deadly. As far as what you said, Mayor, and you're very, very accurate. People's attitude, they shouldn't have taken this in the first place. I mean, I don't know anybody that didn't do something stupid when they were a teenager or whatever. Or based on, your friends are doing it, you do it. And, except maybe me. But so that shouldn't be a death sentence either. And we have appointed an opioid committee in my town. And one of our members is a doctor who specializes in addiction and stuff like that. And there are so many resources available in everybody's town. From the pharmacist, and we have a woman who has a PhD in pharmacy. From the pharmacist to the police, people who have social workers, people who have to deal with this stigma all the time, and they come up with great ideas. And I would recommend that. But I certainly maybe it's an appropriate time to tell you, Mayor, I certainly appreciate your leadership on this.
Nice. Well, look, Waterbury is either in the top 1, 2, or 3 every year in opioid deaths.
Yeah.
And, I really, you might remember when we first started filing these lawsuits, we were pretty heavily criticized by not only the local newspaper, but other media outlets, and that certainly has changed now, and I'm grateful for that because more people are paying attention to it. But truthfully, and the people that die in Waterbury every week and every year, half of them are your residents. They come here, and we can't slow down this infiltration of this drug into the city. It's coming in by train, it's coming in by car, it's coming in because there's a market for it. Waterbury, Bridgeport, Hartford, New Haven, New London, it is what it is. And we see your kids riding around our streets trying to buy this stuff, and it's just brutal.
Well, it doesn't seem to be very difficult to get anything over our borders anymore either.
It's just open market, George, and the fentanyl is just too easy. But it's still being produced in Mexico and China, and I should have a police chief come and address you sometime. He was asked by the Drug Enforcement Administration to go down to Mexico on a tour, and they showed him, village after village, and where they go off into the woods and then these laboratories where they produce fentanyl. I mean, I saw the pictures. It's the most bizarre thing. There's no science to it whatsoever. It's this, that, the other thing, ship it off. That's why these kids are dying. Some of it's really strong and some of it's not. But the truth is, you can take one pill and die because they just didn't mix it right. The stuff coming out of China is a little bit more scientifically produced, but down in Mexico, and that's where a lot of it's coming in, and most of it that's in New England is coming in through Mexico.
Well, it's made by idiots, it's mixed by idiots,
Yeah.
and it's sold by idiots.
Absolutely.
And then the people that buy them, they have no protection.
And I'm telling you, I would be shocked if there's not a person in this room that hasn't seen a family impacted by this or known someone who has been, either addicted or died from this. And it's just, it's an epidemic that's not going away. It's not going away. It's actually getting worse every year. So I'm, I think it would be wonderful if everyone here, as we move into the end of this year, have more conversations about it, Rick. I would keep it, try to put it on the agenda and see what's working best in some communities, I know Waterbury and the public health director in Waterbury is very open-minded to including any community that's in our COG, in our efforts. And we've hired opioid response technicians. They actually go into the field. They have a pulse radio. They go to the overdose. The victim survives, we try to hook them up with the right services, and more importantly, where we're having a better success rate. And by the way, it's not that great of a success rate on our best day, because it's just impossible to get these people off these drugs. But we're batting probably 3 out of 10, maybe 3 out of 10, maybe. But they're not, the focus of our efforts now are not on the victim or the opioid addict. It's the family, right? The mother, the father, the wife, the brothers, the sisters, because they know they're gonna die. They are gonna die. And that's where we're having a better impact. And we're having a better impact on these rehabilitation, these residential rehabilitation facilities and up in the corner, trying to get people in and getting beds for them. So listen, it's brutal. And our hospitals are just overburdened. They just can't take another body. And they don't have by the way, they don't have the resources to deal with it. They really don't. They can get them stable. But that's about it. They've got to, to be successful, they've got to get into really intensive rehabilitation programs that are not, there's not enough of them around. That's the problem.
Mental health issue.
It's a mental health issue. Yeah. All right, so we could talk about that all day, but I think we better get going. Is John Field gonna do an emergency management update?
No. I have just a brief two
Oh, sure,
events.
Drew. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. November 4th, Naugatuck is hosting a traffic incident management event. Your emergency management staff has been notified of this. I think you gentlemen and ladies also got that via email. But if you need that to be resent, we encourage resent staff to participate in that if you're looking for folks to get trained in traffic and incident management. And then also November 13th is Demis's annual meeting. They're doing 2 sessions, one at the Watertown Fire Department at 1 p.m. and one at Litchfield County Regional Fire School in Torrington at 6 p.m. To be a great opportunity to meet with Demis leadership to learn more about current Demis initiatives and future planned activities. And in addition, best practices and lessons learned from recent incidents and events will be shared. These meetings will conclude with an open roundtable discussion to engage Demis leadership on any items you would like to discuss. You will receive that in an email from John Field as well.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Anybody got anything for Drew?
I'd like to add something. We have the best man of the state heading our Region 5, so whether he's on or not. all good.
I agree.
Second that.
We agree. All right, item agenda 7, GIS, Glenda.
Oh, good morning, everyone. So next Wednesday, October 25th, in person or virtual, we're going to be hosting a GIS Lunch and Learn. It's an opportunity for you to understand some of the services that we can provide, maps, data, support for larger geospatial projects. We're hoping you'll encourage people from different departments to attend. And we're hoping the outcome will be that, we get a little more requests, because sometimes I think, communities aren't aware that we can assist with a lot of things that they're getting consultants to help them with. If we can't do the whole project, we can at least guide you or even consider some type of regional project that would benefit
Okay,
everyone doing it together.
thanks, Glenda.
I think there are some flyers at the end of the table.
Yeah,
if you-
yeah.
If you didn't
Everybody got
get
flyer?
the email.
Pretty cool. Looks nice. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, item agenda 8, transportation planning. Rick, back to you.
Yes, so I have one quick announcement before we pass it over to Taya to talk about the transportation guide. As we've mentioned to all of you before, and Pam and Kevin are certainly tired of hearing us talk about, we have had some concerns with the implementation of the Transportation Alternatives Program, as well as the availability of of matching dollars for federal programs. And so just the update for all of you to be aware, we will be doing a statewide meeting between the 9 COGs and the department on November 2nd, hopefully, to discuss some potential changes to the LOTSIP program to better accommodate those programs and address some of those concerns, as well as ensure that TA is a really viable option for building active transportation infrastructure in all of your towns.
Okay.
And then I'll pass it over to Tayo, who will not take credit for it, but he did draw the cover that you're seeing on the report. But we thought was pretty cool, but I'll let him introduce this document. That there's a couple of copies here in the center of the table, and we're happy to print more if anybody would like one.
Okay, sounds good.
Remind you of MASH.
Go ahead.
Sorry?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tayo. I'm a transportation planner here. Almost half a century ago, our precursor agency, the Central Naugatuck+Valley Planning Regional Agency, used to publish a transit guide to the region. This was discontinued after some time. Recently, it was decided to update this, and that the transportation team has done. We're happy to report that we have completed this, and it is coming out in the same month that the last edition that we saw came out 44 years ago. This new guide of ours has information about inter and intercity transit options by bus and by train, as well as airport and heliport facilities in the region. It also has information about freight restricted bridges in our region, as well as commuter parking lots in the region. Their locations, transit accessibility options, as well as utilization rates from data that we've collected over the last 3 years. These are part of our public engagement options to make information available to commuter and residents alike and visitors about how to get around in our region. We believe it's most important to those who do not have access to automobile or those who choose not to drive. Copies of it are available on the table. We will be making, when we publish, copies available to your offices, to our schools, to our public libraries, and it will also be posted on our website. We plan to make a story map out of this, even on our website, and we will update it regularly. We do hope that people will take advantage of this and we will get feedback, which will help us have better ideas on how to improve transportation within our region. With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I would like to take comments and questions from members of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
And if I may offer just briefly, it actually is posted in its draft form on our website. If you go to current projects and transportation, it is listed as transportation guide to the NV region.
Okay. Question. Comments. Hi, what's your background?
I read urban and regional planning for my first and master's degree. I have an MBA.
From?
My first degree is from Nigeria. My master's is from Alabama A&M.
Cool. What brought you to Connecticut?
Excuse me, sir?
What brought you to Connecticut?
This job, sir.
In other words, he needs that.
That's what's gonna keep you in Connecticut.
Well, welcome. We're happy to have you.
Well,
Thank you, sir.
both of your parents lived in Connecticut
Yes.
previously, though, right?
Yes, my dad went to Yale,
Cool.
class of 1981.
Wow. Very cool. Okay. Questions? None? You know, this might be a good segue. I wanted to talk to Pam a little bit. Pam, would you kind of, it's good to see you and thanks for being here. Would you give us a little update? You know, we have a new commissioner. I think everyone's seen him on TV quite often. We have a lot of projects. You know, I'm not asking you to go into any projects specific, but just kind of give us an overview of, you know, where we are with the DOT. Last I heard, we had like 200 job openings over there. Kyle, you're not going anywhere. I know what you were doing, Pam. Yeah, I know. Can you give us just an overview of how things are going over there? You know, we had a strong relationship with Commissioner Gilletti and We're gonna have the same with Usalito. Matter of fact, his brother is opening up a big business in Waterbury.
Yeah, he's got
We're happy about that.
great pizzeria, Marzano in Torrington, so.
Yeah.
If you haven't been there, it's fabulous pizza, but yeah, I mean, Garrett's entering is, Commissioner Ucalito, we call him Garrett, he's pretty formal, but, this is his, 10th month as commissioner. He does want to make the rounds to all the councils of governments. He wants to come in person here. Nice to hear you talk about in-person meetings, because that's exactly how the commissioner feels about meetings, especially on transportation issues. So we look forward to coming here, bringing the commissioner here, and any kind of staff to brief you on any issues of interest to everybody. But hiring wise, it's kind of a zero-sum game. A lot of times, we are getting some engineers on board, but they're at the lower level. It takes them anywhere from 2 to 4 years to be fully functionally independent engineers at the department where they're designing their own projects, but we're making a lot of headway. I've created 3 new units under, in policy and planning. Jane is one of our new employees. We have another one starting today. So we have a total of 4 in the intergovernmental affairs unit. We're working really hard to make sure that they are spending a lot of time with the COGs and their staff, as well as with the chief elected officials of all the municipalities. We want to be a conduit to you and the department, any issues you have that the COGs aren't handling, whether it's you're not hearing back from one of our engineers or anyone on an issue, you can contact Jane and she will provide that liaison for you. So we're trying to strengthen those relationships in a regional way. Garrett's very interested in getting his theme, if I've heard it, a million times, it's safety, of course. The numbers you're seeing for the plan are horrendous, wrongly driving, crashes. I mean, they keep going up despite all the countermeasures were, implemented, both from a public informational standpoint to some of the projects we have ongoing. But besides safety, Commissioner's main, one of his main focus is really getting projects out the door. And that's what we want to work with NVCOG on. That's why we're having another meeting on LOTSIP and TA. How can we simplify the process to help you get more projects out the door? How can we help you with a match for federal discretionary grants? How can we coordinate with you on federal discretionary grants to free up other money that you would have otherwise used for one project that you can fund with a grant? So those are kind of the themes I think you'll hear from the commissioner. There's a lot of really interesting projects going on in NVCOG. We told Jane when she started, NVCOG is we consider a leader as far as some of the councils of governments in the state. You're very progressive and always hit the ground running and represent your municipality as well. But we look forward to working with you and bringing the commissioner in to have him tell you himself what his vision is for transportation and the state of transportation.
It'd be great to have him in, and that's great. I know all of you, or most of you know who Pam is, but I mean, kudos to you for being so responsive to all of us for all our different needs. I mean, it really means a lot to all of us, Pam, and
Want to improve that,
Yeah.
We do have one more note. I have another individual starting today. She's going to be heading up our public involvement unit. Her name is Shannon Burnham. We're going to be adopting the Iowa State DOT's public involvement platform to get comments on projects. And she's going to be working with NVCOG and all the municipalities. When we have a project in your area, how do we engage those constituents you really want to engage in your community to get them, understanding what the projects are and what the impacts are. And so we can get some really good feedback on implementing and designing these projects. So, they're all kind of, Garrett's got a really good vision about how he wants to incorporate, the communities in the state and how we impact transportation.
Cool. Anybody got a quick questions for Pam or comment? Thanks, Pam. We're really happy to have you here and the rest of your team. Thank you. Okay, gang, we're out of transportation into environmental planning. Ricardo.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to thank Mayor Cassetti and the city of Ansonia for allowing us to host the annual RVP meeting at their new senior center. The event will be taking place on December 6th at 12:30 p.m. We will have some food there. Please reach out to Steve Perry or scan the QR code above to RSVP. Also wanted to mention that, as always, there is a updated brownfield memo in your packet. There you will find the current status of all of the active brownfields in the region. If you haven't done so, please review and reach out if you have any questions on that. And lastly, I just wanted to mention that at the beginning of this month, the RLF committee met to select 5 new projects. Those projects are 835 South Main Street and 272 River Street, Waterbury, 280 Elm Street, Naugatuck, 281 Canal Street, Shelton, and 40 West Street, Bristol. The last 2 are pending underwriting. But as we move forward, we will keep you posted on the progress we make with all these sites. Do not hesitate to reach us if you have any questions or on your brownfield or anything else. Thank you.
Thanks, Ricardo. Good work. Let's see, open space inventory update. Christine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At our September meeting, we announced that NVCOG had received funding through the U.S. Forest Service to update our regional open space inventory. This project will include researching priority open space parcels in each municipality to document information like ownership, acreage, level of legal protection, public access, and more. The final deliverables will include an updated GIS database and a report with municipal annexes. Here's what to expect as we launch our efforts. We'll meet with your town clerks, your GIS or IT staff, and conservation commissions to exchange information, ensure that our research with your land records is minimally disruptive, and ensure that the inventory reflects your priorities. We also welcome direct input from CEOs, which can be shared today or sent via email to the email address included in the corresponding memo in your packets. In towns with active land trusts, we'll also work with them to collaborate. Thanks for your attention, and we look forward to updating this important resource. Happy if you have any questions.
Questions, anybody? We're good? Thank you, Christine.
Sure, I just wanted to note for everyone that we decided not to do a municipal solid waste update this month in anticipation of meeting with the commissioner next week.
Thank you. All right, Aaron, you're up with Environmental Sustainability Forum, DFAS.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So yeah, we've been holding periodic environmental forums. And the next one is coming up in December. We're going to be looking at PFAS. So the forum is going to include speakers that'll talk about public health issues, potential municipal impacts of current and potential legislation regulations. We're hoping to have a date to share with you today, but we're still waiting on confirmation from a couple of speakers. So it'll either be the 13th or the 15th at lunchtime, and we'll be providing lunch here in this room. So we'll be sending details once we have them.
Questions for Aaron?
Mayor, if I may, this is more important. PFAS, so there's been, last night I heard on the news, I was reading the newspaper about some PFAS in Connecticut water supply in some locations and Aquarian as well.
Yeah.
So being ignorant of the fact, I guess, how, I mean, it's the only thing I've ever known PFAS to was in firefighting. So what is the origin of that pollution in potential groundwater?
So PFAS is in thousands of products that you probably are wearing right now. You know, this shirt right here is a wrinkle resistant shirts have a form of PFAS in it. Weather resistant things. Yeah, pots and pans, non-stick coatings on pots and pans. So you know, it really comes from everywhere. So, you know, groundwater gets, you know, just from people washing their clothes, and you know, your drains go to your septic system that leaches into the groundwater. It comes from manufacturing. So I mean, PFAS is pretty much everywhere. There's really no way around it. I also serve on the Water Planning Council Advisory Group that advises the Water Planning Council. So, you know, there's been a lot of talk about PFAS in drinking water. As far as I understand, you know, those 2 water companies that are getting sued are following all guidelines that are in place right now. But, you know, I think they have been proactively testing to sort of get ahead of the issue. And I think, you know, that's causing them a problem now, which is sort of unfortunate, you know. I think every water system probably has some PFAS in it at this point, so.
So their active testing has actually brought them to the forefront, is what you're indicating. They disclose on themselves.
That's what it, that's what it sort of sounds like to me, yeah.
Well, yeah, the federal government, Mr. Chairman, the federal government has announced that there will be standards. The states are adopting their own standards. Problem is, we don't have standards for cleanup yet. And the reason I jumped onto this is potentially there's gonna be a problem for both our brownfields programs and economic development in the future. Because we can't agree on a standard to remove this stuff, which you can't remove. It's gonna be very, very difficult to advance projects the way we've been able to for the last 30 years under brownfields. I believe it's 5 parts per trillion is considered the legal limit at the federal level right now. 5 parts per trillion is a ridiculously small amount. And it's in all of our bodies already. The last group of people on Earth who were born without PFAS in their system were in the Faroe Islands I think that's in Norway, I think. That's it. Every child is born with PFAS in their system today. And more than you'll probably encounter in the ground. So this is gonna be a long debate and a long argument, and particularly in Connecticut, it's gonna be a difficult one. So there's been a task force in place for 5 years. We don't have recommendations yet.
Through the chair, if I could. Drew, we should get the, I hate to have that guy come here, but if we should get that presentation that we had yesterday. That cost, it was pretty alarming, because now they are talking about coming into all the towns and coming into the landfills.
But
We're gonna be testing the landfills, but I mean, it's, he's the bearer of bad news, but he gives it to you and what they're trying to do to, and what you can do, like with the foam and cleaning up the trucks and other things, though, even with the landfills, if you're aware of it, so.
But these are closed
That might be for the
landfills,
future.
they're all closed in the state.
Yeah, but they're coming to test around it to see if it's leaking.
The water infiltrate.
Yeah,
Right, right.
so that might be a December or for everyone to get. It was pretty interesting.
So to touch on Rick's point, I sit on the EPA Regional Advisory Committee, and it's, it's just all anyone talks about. And it's just, and I don't know, I'm not a scientist or people have very different opinions about the parts per trillion that will be impactful to the general population. And of course, the EPA folks are EPA folks, so they're a little bit more, they like the minuscule amounts per trillion, as opposed to others who say, look, as Rick pointed out, it's been in everybody's body. It has been, it's there. It's just a hot topic now. Particularly because, people, every time you turn around, right, you hear of somebody else who just developed some form of cancer and some form of health issue, and you know how it goes. So, and I'm not saying anything one way or the other, because I can tell you it is alarming, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's gonna be the philosophy of the administration coming out of Washington, DC, who are gonna have the ability to weigh whatever is a reasonable amount of parts per trillion. And so, you can imagine the Democrats will look at this differently than the Republicans. And I doubt that there'll be any agreement on this, because it's not an agreement on what day of the week it is. So it seems that that's unlikely. So regardless of that, you gotta watch it though, because, like city like Waterbury has a huge landfill, it's covered up, and we do the monthly monitoring, and, and it's everywhere, which is really, here's the good news. Everybody pretty much knows what PFAS is now. May not know the details of where it originated from or how it got in, but as Aaron points out, it's just freaking everywhere.
It's everywhere,
It is. It's everywhere, from your clothes to your to-go packages to styrofoam to you name it, it's there. So, but for those that are environmentally inclined, our staff here, and I just happen to have one in my household, Citizen board? No question. All right. All right, so that's a great update, Aaron. How about Kitty Town, man?
Yeah, so it's been a few months since we gave you all an update. So I'd like to bring you up to speed on some progress we've made, some issues that have come up. Next slide, please. So first, I'll start with the progress, sort of the good news. So we should have a sub-award agreement with Save the Sound any day now. They have a RFQ ready to go for the dam removal design engineering, which they will be overseeing. They're also going to be overseeing outreach and communications on the project with support from our comm staff. We issued a RFQ for the sanitary sewer and siphon relocation that has to happen before the dam gets removed. So there's 2 sewer siphons that belong to the town of Seymour upstream that are located in sediment that's going to be removed or mobilized as part of the dam removal. So those have to be addressed. So we have selected a consultant. We'll be working with them to negotiate a scope and fee over the next coming weeks. Our attorneys have continued having discussions with the federal and state regulators about jurisdiction on the project. We're trying to get everybody on the same page so that when we go through permitting, there's no misunderstandings and we can do everything as smoothly as possible. We have had a few delays. So as I think you all know, the plan is to have the Connecticut Brownfield Land Bank take possession of the property and hold it while we do the design and dam removal. And they've agreed to that acquisition pending the results of our due diligence that we've been working through with our attorneys. So 2 things have come up during that due diligence. One is sort of a delay on the phase 2 field work. And we've found an issue with Copon Dam. So sort of go into each of those a little bit more in detail. Next page, please. So the first thing, we're being supported by EPA, who's conducting a targeted brownfield analysis or assessment on the properties. Most importantly, they're looking at the sediment behind the 2 dams, so behind Kinneytown Dam on the left and Copon Dam on the right. They have finished the phase 1. They're working on a phase 2 now. It took quite a while over the summer to get agreement from Connecticut Deep on their testing methods and their quack that you see on the screen there. And now the issue is trying to get equipment into those 2 impoundments that can test the sediments. So they basically need to get a drill rig in there was their original plan. So they need a barge. There's really no way to get into either the Kinneytown impoundment is very shallow. It's about 2 feet deep for most of it. So it's actually too shallow for the barge that they would normally use. In Copon, it's deeper. They could definitely float a barge in there, but there's absolutely no way to get a barge in there. So we did a site walk with one contractor that they had been talking to. They basically turned the job down. I just talked to Volpe, who's the EPA's consultant on this yesterday, and they do have 3 more consultants that are a bit more focused on this type of work that we're going to try to get out in the field in the next couple of weeks and see what they can do. So EPA is optimistic that one of these consultants will be able to do the work. They're adjusting the scope a little bit, but we're looking at probably, winter before they'll be able to get in the field, possibly the spring. So the information that's going to be collected is really critical to the design of the dam removal, but also to the land bank and understanding what the risks are to taking the property. So that's just going to hold up the acquisition a little bit. Next page, please. So sort of more concerning is while we're out there trying to find a way into Copond with equipment, we realized that what Burke and Deep had listed as a 60-foot concrete dam, Copond Dam, is actually about a 3,000-foot earthen dam with a 60-foot concrete spillway. This dam was built in 1840 when they built the canal. It doesn't look like it's ever been inspected. Doesn't look like it's ever been maintained, or at least in a very long time. So the dam So if you're looking at the two aerial photos on the left, the strip of land in between the water and the rail is actually an earthen dam. And on the right, you can see what it looks like. The southern portion is completely vegetated. There's trees up there that are, you know, probably 80 or 100 years old. Vegetation is not allowed on dams. So it's, you know, it's sort of a bad situation. And to make it even worse, it's actually positioned, so the railroad, the Metro North Railroad line is positioned behind the dam and below it. So at the southern end of the dam, it's about 20 feet below the crest of the dam. So we flagged it as a safety concern. If you want to move on to the next slide. This is the northern half of that dam, which looks like it's being overtopped. You can see really clear evidence on the right there of sediment flows down the backside of the dam. So, you know, we flagged these things. We immediately alerted DOT and the railroad that, you know, this is a, you know, could be a serious safety concern. Next page. So the DOT initiated an emergency inspection in August. So we got FERC staff, DOT staff, the railroad, folks from DEEP as well. We all walked the site. You know, I think everybody was kind of concerned about it. FERC did issue a letter last week or the week before, ordering the dam owner to basically inspect and you know, study and, you know, come up with a plan to you know, deal with the vegetation and improve you know, the safety of the dam. You know, based on the current owner's track record, I don't think that, you know, I expect them to do any of that. But you know, what's sort of critical right now is to understand what the actual risk is before the land bank takes possession of the property. You know, I don't think the land bank wants to be stuck holding the bill when all of that stuff is ordered to be done in order to you know, make it a safe situation. So those things are both sort of holding up the acquisition. You know, we plan to keep going on with the work that we're doing. And you know, Rick, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No, just that we'll be meeting with NOAA staff to discuss the progress in 2 weeks. Next week?
Yeah, the 23rd, I think.
Yeah. So we'll bring them up to speed on where we are versus where we had proposed to be originally. But these are due diligence items that in good conscience, I cannot advise the land bank board to take possession until we have some sort of resolution. It's just far too much liability to take on for this particular section.
What does that mean?
Well, we're not the owners.
I mean, so are you?
I know what you're asking, because it means that we need the owner to take certain steps before we can take possession of it. And if the owner doesn't do it, we need to get agreement on what those steps should be that aren't cost prohibitive.
We're kind of back to where we were in Kennytown some years ago.
Well, no, as Aaron said, the problem is that this was an unknown, believe it or not, an unknown structure. As long as it had been there, and it's built out of aggregate and glass and sand and everything from the old grass shop. So, you know, there are ways to mitigate. In public session, I don't want to go into too much about what we've discussed with the lawyers and the other folks. But there are ways to mitigate the hazard that we don't think are cost prohibitive. But we would prefer for the owner to do them before the land bank takes possession, as opposed to the land bank taking possession and taking on that additional cost that we did not plan for.
I'm not sure I agree with that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing.
Because then it'll never happen. You know, if the land bank takes control of it, it's under the state statute where the land bank now has the ability to apply for federal and state grants to do the remediation. I think that you're stalling the project by expecting the owner. What makes you think the owner is going to be able to take on this kind of liability?
Well, we've got to walk through the process with FERC. FERC controls the schedule at this point. FERC has to notify the owner.
Sure.
The owner has to respond.
I think what the mayor is saying is that the principals should be in the room when these decisions are being made, because we want to control our own destiny, and we understand what you're talking about, but we should be in the room.
I agree. Because you will not move this forward. If you think that the owner is gonna be able to do that. That's otherwise we wouldn't have any brownfields in Waterbury or anywhere else. You can't expect the owners to do this because they're not equipped to do it. And you're gonna stall this project indefinitely if you do. I really believe that. And that's why every brownfield that the city acquires, we take on that liability. Because the state of Connecticut has reduced that liability for municipalities, and this is a perfect example of that.
Is
So,
DOT
I would
pushing
say,
this?
I'm
Are
sorry.
they pushing this, a resolution of this?
Well, we're. I would say that we were very concerned about their position here, and. I don't, Aaron, we don't have any concrete response from MTA.
No, I know that
It's a
DOT
real
was
operator.
preparing a letter that they were gonna send to FERC, but I haven't seen that letter yet.
and that's the issue. I think that's what we're all trying to say, and I think that this board, at least the executive committee, needs to dictate what direction we're gonna travel in, especially with the acquisition of the property for the land bank.
Agreed.
I don't think it's an individual decision.
No, I just don't want to respond in public.
Agreed, yeah.
Okay, then we'll do it at the executive committee level meeting and executive session at Davie, but I think that we didn't come this far to get stalled by bureaucracy.
Agreed.
Well stated.
Yeah. And politely. Proud of myself that I phase out.
God, I've made it this far.
We've all made it this far. Bob. Okay, but thank you. I mean, that's very enlightening and look, this is peaks and valleys. These projects are all peaks and valleys and we know that, so we gotta decide how we're going to conquer the valleys, all right? We've run out of time, folks, but we have community planning, land use training update. Emily?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Emily Ritchie, community planner here. The community planning team at NVCOG initiated the land use trainings to help municipalities comply with CGS Section 8-4C, requiring members of land use commissions to complete a minimum of 4 hours of comprehensive training compliant to guidelines outlined in the statute. I would like to thank our municipal partners in helping us coordinate these wonderful land use trainings in September at the Ansonia Senior Center on the 21st and at the Veteran Memorial Hall on the 30th. With their generous help in letting us use their space, these trainings would not be as successful as they were with the turnout that we had. Thank you, Mayor Cassetti, for coming by and sharing a few words at the start of the land use training with everyone, as well to our speakers who came from CTD, Yukon Clear, Partnership for Strong Communities, the State Historical Preservation Office, and the Litchfield County Center for Housing Opportunity. The presentations were informative and sparked great discussions among the commissioners. The land use training certified 77 commissioners within the Naugatuck+Valley region, as well as some from outside our service area. Those who attended were able to connect with one another, discuss the material, have their questions answered by experts, and many spoke highly of the events and asked about future trainings like this in the region. PDFs, presentations, and recordings of the training are available on the NVCOG website. We encourage you to spread the news to your land use commissions and boards if members need to be certified. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to speak with you and follow up. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. Questions, family, anyone? Okay, thank you. Group and family child care home reporting update. Phoebe,
Hi.
Savannah, Nicole, otherwise known as SN.
Yes, Phoebe.
Go ahead, Phoebe.
Quick refresher, my name is Phoebe Kloof. I'm one of the new community planners here. So I'd like to gently remind you about some legislation that was made effective on October 1st concerning zoning regulations for group and family child care homes. The state is requiring that chief executive officers in each municipality submit to OPM a sworn statement certifying either your compliance with zoning regulations or the specific timeframe within which you plan to become compliant. The state is requesting that this statement be received no later than December 1st of this year and annually thereafter. Given this deadline, I encourage you all to discuss this with your municipal lawyer and land use staff at your earliest convenience. OPM has drafted both a compliant and non-compliant statement for municipal use. I will be following up with each of you in the next week with information about reporting requirements, and I will include those statements in my correspondence. Additionally, I will be following up with the land use staff in the region next week regarding coming into compliance with the regulations and offering my assistance if needed. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have or speak with you after.
Sounds to me like you have a lot of work to do, Phoebe. Good luck with that, girl.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
I think everybody's still in shock. I like the part where we have to submit the sworn statements to OPM. That should be good. Good luck with that. All right, we're back on the Aquifer Protection Area Programming. Molly?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll attempt to bring us full circle here. So I'm Molly Johnson, community planner here. And at the start of the meeting, we heard from Kim Czapla, who discussed the importance of aquifer protection areas and common compliance concerns in our region. With that, I want to reiterate that for eligible municipalities, aquifer protection is a tool for your community, not only to protect the safety of your drinking water, but also to prevent the major costs and difficulty of cleanup. I will be following up with messages to you and your staff regarding your individual compliance status. And our team is here to and available to support your community as it works towards compliance or to maintain compliance. Additionally, to increase the efficiency of the time spent on this, we're hosting this program series in 2024. And the series will answer common questions and provide office hours where your staff can speak directly with us or deep on things they're working on. And I shared this preview document with you in your series packets, but I will reach out directly to your staff with an invitation to the series. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Okay, any questions so far? Okay, Molly, thank you. All right, we're rounding the corner here. Anybody have anything other that's not on?
It does.
Go ahead, Bob.
I just want to wish all my brother and sisters who are running for re-election, wish them well, and I hope to see you at the next COG meeting.
Same
to you,
Bob.
Wish everybody
Thank
well.
you.
Okay.
Still move.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? I just want to, on a personal note, say that the celebration that we had, whether for Mark's retirement and or our very belated Christmas party, and it was a lot of fun. I really think, I'm hoping that as you all move forward, you try to do that once or twice a year. It's something I think that is just puts people together in a more relaxed environment and have some fun and some laughs, and hope everybody got home safe. And I think it was a really good time. I think Gary did a good job as well. So I think other than that, if no one has anything, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
You got it, Mayor.
Okay, so second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Cool. Everybody enjoy. Have a good rainy, try to get through another rainy weekend. Boy.